Talking about the weather. Yo. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Freedom March and Freedom Family. Freedom lovers and freedom fighters. Snapzilla gorillas in the building. Hitting y'all upside the head with this morning paper. You understand what I'm talking about? How y'all doing this morning? Salute to Flying Guillotine in the building. He says, what's the hawk? The weather, it's raining, right? So it's like, it's 40 degrees, raining, and yeah, it's cold as hell, and it's raining. But good morning, everybody. How y'all doing, huh? William McCauley, salute to you. Good morning, brother. Yes, we're going to get into this thing right here. We're going to get into this thing right here. That's a country term? Okay. What's the hawk? Okay. So, let me tell y'all something. The next 3 years of the of the Trump administration. Can you guys hear me? Let me know. Give me a Romeo Lima Charlie if y'all got me. Let me know. Flying Guillotine, let me know if you can hear me, brother. Otherwise, I'm going to have to. All right, salute to you. Thank you. Thank you for that Romeo Lima Charlie. Listen, guys. The next 3 years of the Trump administration is going to be a wild 3 years, man. It's going to be a wild 3 years. Why? Well, listen, let me tell y'all something. Donald Trump, he can't serve any more terms, right? He can't do that, right? According to the Constitution, he can't serve a third term under any circumstances unless they somehow in the next 3 years, they are able to if they're able to amend the Constitution in the next 3 years, he cannot legally serve a third term. So what he's doing right now is going all out. He's going all out to drive this country into the ground on the behalf of the corporate welfare recipients, the special interest groups, the banks, the defense contractors, big oil, big pharma. He's just going all out, right? You know how they say, this is what presidents have done throughout history, right? They use their second term to go all out because they understand, well, there's no point in trying to act like I'm trying to do good. There's no, it's up, right? The jig is up. And they're going to ram through a lot of tyrannical policies that will finally bring to light how tyrannical this government is, right? They're going to ramp up the tyranny in the next 3 years. And right now, they're going to be using this tragedy in Washington, D.C., where those 2 National Guards people were shot, one of whom were killed. They're going to use this to push radical Islam to further infringe on your rights. They're going to use this tragedy to initiate martial law in perpetuity. Understand that. It's going to be martial law in perpetuity. It's going to become part of the very fabric of American society. Right? Now, this has been in the works for quite some time. This has been in the works for quite some time when they decided to put on the biggest display of deception in the world that you have ever seen with 9/11. 9/11, right? They used 9/11 to kickstart this thing, right? And it's not something that they could do immediately, right? They had to take their time. They had to get certain things in place. They used 9/11, right? It's part of the Hegelian dialectic. They used 9/11 to pass the Patriot Act. And what that has done is given them the ability to violate human rights, not just in this country, but all over the world, under the auspices of counterterrorism, okay? And the Patriot Act has given them carte blanche to perform all kinds of initiatives that go against what this country is supposed to be about and founded on, right? It's supposed to be founded on freedom and liberty and, the right to pursue happiness and all this other shit. That's what the Patriot Act has done. And listen, they use the Patriot Act to commit atrocities all over the place. Now, understand, even though they passed the Patriot Act, they went through the whole congressional bullshit. They went through the legislative process to pass the Patriot Act. I need you guys to understand that even introducing the Patriot Act and entertaining the Patriot Act as legislators, right? Just doing that violated U.S. Code 18 U.S. Code 241. Just introducing the bill and then passing the bill, that violated 18 U.S. Code 241. So understand that fundamentally, passing the Patriot Act in and of itself is illegal, right? Since we love to use that. We love to use that. And because of the tragedy of 9/11, because of the 3,000 killed, they were able to get this through without much pushback from the American public. I myself, I was serving in Korea when 9/11 happened, right? I was, I was an active duty infantry soldier. So, that's where I was. And of course I was all patriotic about it. I was like, well, what? What happened? They attacked who? They did what? So when tragedy like that strikes, and because I was fully bought into the whole idea of being a patriot and trusting the government, I was working for the government. I had sworn an oath to the Constitution, though. I had sworn an oath to protect people's rights against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And what the Patriot Act did was give the government the ability to violate the Constitution and that we sworn to protect. So let's just start there. Everything that they're doing right now, well, not everything, but a lot of what they're doing right now, they are able to do it because of what happened on 9/11 and what they did in response to 9/11 in terms of, using the Patriot Act, using the Model States Health Emergency Powers Act. All these things gave them the ability to do what they're doing, including what they're doing in Venezuela, right? Murdering people, slaughtering people illegally, criminally, committing crimes, committing international crimes, violating international law. They're able to do that in their minds because, well, they designated the cartels as terrorist groups. So we can just go kill people indiscriminately. This is what they believe. Anyway, they're not just using it for that purpose. They're going to use it for the purpose of deploying 500 National Guards people per state in this country, right? They're going to be deployed. They're going to be marching around, walking around. You're going to get used to seeing these people. You're going to be used to seeing these uniformed, armed individuals on your streets. And then they're going to sell you the idea, well, we need to do this to combat radical Islam. Yeah, radical Islam. This is what they're doing. They're pushing this narrative all over the media, right? And what did the Knesset say? What the Knesset is, right? That's basically the Israeli Congress, and also a number of pro-Zionist individuals said that America needs radical Islam. There's nothing better for the country, for our country, than to convince the world that radical Islam is a problem. Radical Islam. Venezuela is a continuation of the Monroe Doctrine. Read the book, Overthrown by Stephen Kinzer. Will do. Thank you. Do me a favor, if you can, email me the name of that book or email me a link to where I can get that book at freedomsmarch80@gmail.com. If my mods will be so kind as to post my email address in the comments in the chat, I'll be eternally grateful. freedomsmarch80@gmail.com. Radical Islam. Benjamin Nosferatu himself, and I'm paraphrasing, said that 9/11 was good for America. Basically, that's what he said, and it's good for Israel, right? And so now that we have this Afghan national who worked with the CIA, who was recruited at age 15 by the CIA to work with special forces units to kill his own people, recruited at 15 years old by the CIA, heavily vetted by the CIA, all these different things. They created this man. Why do I say they created this man? Well, they recruited him at age 15. So he hadn't even finished his childhood before they recruited this man and used him against his own people. They convinced him that he was doing the right thing by his country. They convinced him that they would keep his people safe. They convinced him that they'll take care of. Oh, we'll take care of you, right? Because this is what they promised these people. And sometimes it looks like they keep that promise, right? They got that man out of here. They got the man out of Afghanistan during the Biden administration and brought him to this country, right? But that doesn't happen for everybody that the CIA uses as assets. No, that doesn't happen for everybody. A lot of those individuals were abandoned in Afghanistan, right? During the Biden administration. And God knows what happened to those individuals. Now, you take this boy at 15 years old, you groom him into a stone cold killer because you convinced him that the Taliban is his enemy, that goat herder is his enemy, that goat herder, all that type of shit. Yeah, you convinced this 15-year-old boy that you were the friendlies and that his own people were the enemy. Islam versus Christianity shouldn't be U.S. business. You're absolutely right. Salute to Latressa Mingham in the building. Lisa something says he thought America was paved with gold. Came and got a stack of bills. Well, this is what happens. See, they'll sell you a dream. They'll sell you a dream. They'll tell you, well, just do this. Do this for us. It'll make your country better. And if worse comes to worse, we'll bring you to our country. And you can live the good old life. You can live like a king in our country. You'll have all the advantages. So they brought not just that Afghan national, but a large number of Afghan nationals into this country. They brought Iraqi nationals. They brought, into this country. They radicalized these individuals overseas. They radicalized them. They turned them into stone cold killers. They turned them into individuals that terrorized that committed terrorism in their own countries alongside U.S. Special Forces. Hold on, guys. Just a second. I got to text my dog. Salute to y'all. Sorry for the shallow comment, but I draw faces, and I'm absolutely loving your nose shape in detail. Okay. Alrighty then. Double tap the screen if you guys like the content. I appreciate you. Yes, please double tap the screen. That's all it takes is a double tap. Do you ever meet Dice, Kosho, and Gandu? I don't know what that is. So understand that the CIA and these special forces units radicalize these individuals over there, and then they come over here. And understand that these special forces groups members that participated in the atrocities committed over there, they become disillusioned. And they start YouTube channels and they tell you about the atrocities. They tell you how they have been disillusioned and how they know what they were doing over there was wrong. So if they're disillusioned and they are U.S. Special Forces members, what do you think happens to the Afghan and Iraqi nationals that worked alongside them, that put their lives on the line for these American Special Forces units? Think about this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Valhalla, VFT. I appreciate some of his content. He talks about it himself, how he worked alongside Afghan and Iraqi nationals who put their lives in danger to protect their lives. Imagine the amount of dream selling and pimping you got to do to convince the people whose country you invaded to protect your motherfucking life, to put themselves in the line of fire to protect you, to make themselves cannon and bullet fodder for an invading force. That's why I'm glad I never deployed. That's why I'm glad I never went over there and killed in the name of the United States lie. The lie of weapons of mass destruction. The lie of, oh, Obama, Osama bin Laden is being hidden and aided and abetted by Saddam Hussein. All that bullshit that they sold y'all, that they sold us to convince us that we need to go over to Iraq and Afghanistan and destabilize an entire region, to destroy the country, displace millions of people, to kill hundreds of thousands of people. I'm glad I didn't go over there and do that shit. Yeah. Those individuals, yes, for the oil. I know individuals who deployed, and there are YouTubers that talk about being deployed, like Valhalla VFT. Ask them if what they were over there for was a righteous cause. It was not. Think about that. So you radicalize Afghan nationals over there, bring them over here, and vet them to the fullest degree. Oh, we vetted them oh so much. They went through extreme vetting. Well, just because you vetted them and they were a certain way before they came here does not mean that when they were disillusioned, they understand that the reason you were really over there was to commit terrorism and to basically, squander resources and whatnot. Don't think that they won't change their mind when they're in this country. Not Chad says, my buddy went over and his primary duty was protecting poppy. Yes. Yes. So, are these people patriots? Are they heroes, war heroes, the guys that go over there? Now, they deployed under orders. They really had no choice. And, they were following orders, and they thought they were doing the right thing. So, on the face of it, no, they weren't doing anything wrong, per se. They were following orders they thought were supposed to be followed, right? We did get congressional authorization to invade these countries at some point, on the basis of a lie, on the basis of multiple lies. But they went over there and acted on the behalf of defense contractors, the bankers, and other military industrial complex interests, not to be heroes. No, they were not heroes. No. They don't come back as heroes. Not in my opinion. Mad Max Payne wants us to know that he's gay, so he's giving us an alert. You don't have to do that, Mad Max. If you're a homosexual, you can go on about your business. You ain't got to tell us. But you don't need to alert us to your homosexuality. My daughter wants me to take her to school because it's raining.
Can you take me to school?
I got you, baby girl. So, anyway, y'all, they disrupted my live stream, so I had to reset it. Anyway, y'all, now, so understand that members of our military were killed in the name of a lie. The natives of those countries, including women and children, were killed on a basis of a lie. Young men and women were recruited as CIA assets on based on a lie, based on multiple lies. And all this for resources that don't belong to us. All this so that we can control another nation's resources, oil, poppy, whatever you want to use, whatever you want to say. I never understand why they have to let us know. I don't understand it, RLG. I don't understand it. But, hey, to each his own. Anyway, so they bring these people, they're over here now, okay? And, you got people, they say this Afghan national who was recruited by the CIA at age 15, they call him a terrorist. They call him a terrorist, and now they want to say, oh, well, you got the radical Muslims running around. You got the Afghan nationals. Oh, we have to, we got to stop the visas and this, that, and the third. Someone says blah, blah, blah. Okay. They clearly don't want to be here, so I don't even know why you're commenting in my chat. There you go. You ain't never got to come back to hear the blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the bottom line is we create terrorists all over the world. That's what we do. The United States government, our military. That's what we do. We recruit. We create these groups. We created ISIS. We created Al Qaeda. We did that. The Taliban. Why? Because we like to meddle and we like to use people. And they think, oh, well, our own people don't care because, they're over there in that country. No American really cares about Afghanistan or the Afghanistan people. They don't care about them. They don't care about the Iraqi people. No, they don't care about none of that. That's what they think. And now they have found a way to use this guy that they radicalized, by the way. They used the fact that he shot these National Guards people. Now they're going to use that to infringe on your rights. And they're going to call it solving a problem. A problem they created in the first place. They created the problem. They created the problem of the radical Muslim. They created the problem of the radical Afghan former CIA assets. Isn't it ironic? Is this like what they're doing in South America? What they've been doing in South America for decades? Yeah, they radicalize the cartels. They fuel the cartels. They use the cartels. They'll pit one cartel against another. And they'll fund cartels. They work with the CIA to help funnel drugs into this country. Yeah. And then they use that to commit war crimes in international waters. But then the same guy that told you, and I'm going to do a live stream on this, but I'm going to go through a lot of shit when I do it. Valhalla VFT, the same guy that will tell you that our government will pull some BS to get what they want achieved, including recruiting 15-year-old boys to help them commit terrorism against their own country. Will tell you, oh, well, Pete Hegseth is legally justified to slaughter people in international waters because they designated them to be terrorists. They have the legal authority. It boggles my mind that would come flowing out of his fool ass mouth. And I'm only calling it a fool ass mouth because he said that. You would think he'd know better. So I'm going to be doing a piece on that because I have never heard so much hogwash in my entire life. He tells us, these are the justifications, you guys. Well, we have all these lawyers, these JAG lawyers, and this, that, and the third. We're going to ensure that we determine that our actions are legal and justified. Right? We're going to we have investigated ourselves, and we have determined that we have done no wrongdoing. We will create laws in the United States. See you later, baby girl. You be safe. Bye. We have ensured that we have created laws to protect ourselves when we commit tyranny and terrorism against other countries. So this is what this man says. No, we have passed laws and we have created laws in our own country to commit atrocities in other countries and to justify it. I mean, what? Tell me we know better than that, people. We know better than to say it's okay. It may not be okay morally, but it's okay legally because we have lawyers in the United States that will justify wholesale slaughter in another country. We have investigated ourselves and we have determined that we have done no wrongdoing. So basically what he's telling you is that as a nation, our leaders can do whatever they want across the world. All we have to do is justify it legally in the United States. The level, whatever, it is what it is. I'll talk about that later. Stormy B Man in the building. Salute to Stormy B Man. Salute to you, brother. And it makes me look at people like that sideways. Because they'll go into all this. They'll tell you all this, that, the third. Yeah, the government ain't shit. The government is doing the wrong thing here, doing the wrong thing there. And then they'll come out every now and then. And they'll legally justify government tyranny and government oppression and government terrorism. And when you point out, well, Donald Trump declared war against the cartels, but he did not get congressional authorization, right, to wage war in the Caribbean in international waters. He did not get authorization. Well, they don't need congressional authorization because they designated them as a terrorist group. So all you got to do is designate a group. All you got to do is say that they're a terrorist group. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is say that. Someone asked if I'm a lawyer. What does it matter if I'm a lawyer or not? Does it matter if I'm a lawyer? Is Valhalla VFT a lawyer? No, he's not. Are you a lawyer? No, you're not. What's the point? What are you asking me if I'm a lawyer for? Trample on Right says here goes Sir Dunk, who knows nothing about what freedom actually is. Douchebag, Sir Douche. Not Sir Dunk, Sir Douche. Knows not what freedom is. And tells me I'm a free black man. You have no idea what freedom is. I'm not even going to dignify that. No, not you, the guy giving disclaimers. Oh, my bad. I'm out your business. The bottom line is this. Our government radicalized Muslims and then try to convince you that that Islam is radical, and that we have to deploy 500 National Guards people in every state to keep us safe from radical Muslims. Radical Islam, y'all. Radical Islam. When have you ever heard anybody talk about radical Christianity? Or radical Judaism? Or radical Buddhism? No, you never hear that. You always hear radical Islam because, well, it's easy to convince people that Islam is radical and that Muslims are radical because, you know, I mean, this has been going on for centuries, right? "35-year-old man talking to his phone like he Einstein." 35 years old? Well, I'm actually 45 years old, but I know, black don't crack. I get it. Y'all can come in here and troll. I don't care. It is what it is. The bottom line is, there's no such thing as radical Islam. There's no such thing as Muslims. Not in the way they want you to believe. There is a such thing as radical individuals. You just have to figure out why they were radicalized. Because when, I forgot the man's name, when this Afghan national worked with U.S. armed forces to kill his own people, he was a Muslim at that point. But did they call him a radical Muslim when he killed on behalf of the United States government? Was he radical then? I tell you what, his countrymen that he helped kill probably thought he was radical. In their mind, he was radical. He was radicalized by the U.S. government and convinced that his countrymen were the enemy. But no one called him radical then, did they? No. He didn't get radical until he killed one National Guards person and injured another. That's when he was radical, right? But next thing you know, you're going to look up. You're going to go outside. You're going to go to your town square. You're going to see a bunch of National Guards people walking around. And you're going to say, oh, thank God they're here to protect us from the radical Muslims. How many radical Muslims attacked you today and yesterday and the day before? In your entire lifetime, how many times were you attacked by a radical Muslim? Tell that to the families of the shot guardsmen. Well, I'll tell you what. The boyfriend of the young lady that was killed said that she said they were there for no reason, that they didn't need to be there. Salute to Orange Lily for you. Salute to you. Thank you for coming through. See, y'all don't want to hold accountable everyone that should be held accountable. You just want to hold the Afghan national accountable. Yeah, I want him held accountable because he indiscriminately shot, if they what they say is true. He shot 2 guards people that did nothing to him. So he needs to be held accountable, but so do the people that radicalized him, that used him as a tool at 15 years old. See, y'all don't want to talk about everyone that needs to be held accountable because you're a so-called patriot, right? You believe that you're a patriot. You believe that you are above reproach. You believe that your own government is above reproach. Even though a lot of the atrocities that are committed by the people they call radical is due to actions of their own. Now, when we invade Venezuela and tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers are killed, because it's going to be like Vietnam on steroids. I can guarantee you that. and they tried to convince you all these people hate Maduro. They voted against Maduro. I got some receipts for you in regards to that I will be showing you. Not today, probably on Thursday. Thursday is the day I will be talking about that. When we invade Venezuela and tens of thousands of soldiers get killed, they're going to convince you that it's because of Maduro. They're going to blame Maduro for that. They're going to say Maduro gave us no choice. They're going to bring you the weapons of mass destruction lie in another form against Maduro, and then you're going to look at Maduro like he's the problem. Just like you looked at Saddam Hussein like he's the problem. And when you found out the lie, when they told you they lied to you to your motherfucking face, where was the justice? There was none. They all got away with it. The same thing's going to happen when they invade Venezuela. The same thing is going to happen when they send jackbooted soldiers up and down your streets and tell you, we're just trying to protect you from radical Muslims. Someone says it's called drugs, my guy. Okay, what about drugs? Drugs are drugs. People want drugs, so people are going to supply drugs. Supply and demand, what the fuck are you talking about? They have no interest in stopping the flow of drugs into this country. Otherwise, they would be sending military contingents into Mexico to take out Mexican cartels. They're not doing that. You know, the very Mexican cartels that put green lights on the heads of ICE agents. You remember that? There was much ado about nothing. If they really cared about that, they would be in Mexico, waging war in Mexico against the Mexican cartels who are responsible for bringing opioids into this country. They would be going to war against China for that. If they really cared about a war against the cartels, they don't. Why are they bypassing Mexico to go to Venezuela to kill people on tiny boats? Fake soldier trying to be a little bitch again. Okay, Reaper, whatever you say. I don't know why y'all got to come in here and talk about yourselves. I don't understand it, but I'm going to let you do what you do. Reaper clearly feels some guilt, and he's calling himself a fake soldier and a little bitch. I'm sorry you feel that way about yourself. Yeah. This is your brain on facts. Yes. Peter Meat Wagon says, if Americans want to keep the freedoms they have, they shouldn't be fighting to gain the corrupt ways of the other countries like Iran, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and the rest of them. America, not Islam. Well, they told you that those countries were corrupt. That's what they told you. They told you that. Salute to Cesar Blanco. None of that's, none at all. He's fake, never been deployed soldier. Okay. I'm proud of not being deployed to fight in a fake war. Thank you so much. Yes, I've never been deployed. He's a waves of skin, probably failed basic. No, I didn't fail basic. You know, Reaper, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm glad I didn't go over there, because I know people that did go over there and they have post-traumatic stress disorder because of the atrocities that were committed. I'm not saying they committed them. They understand and they are disillusioned. Ask them if they knew what they knew now, would they deploy? So yes, I have no problem with not being deployed. I don't need to sit up here and lie and tell people I've been deployed just to make myself look like a hero or some shit. No. So if you've never been deployed, what the fuck are you talking about? Whatever the fuck I want to talk about. How about that? I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. Whatever I want to. None of you are going to stop me, deployed or not deployed. If you saw me in the streets, whether you were deployed or not, you wouldn't step to me. Guarantee you that. Not without your little team. Not without an Afghan soldier that you recruited at 15 to protect you from cannon fodder. No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't step to me, come to my house. Because guarantee you, you wouldn't. See, just because I didn't deploy does not mean that I couldn't split your wig if you stepped to me. Don't get it twisted. Just because y'all did that over there, you think that because y'all killed a bunch of people in another country that our military and our government sent y'all over there to terrorize, you think that you're better than me? You're not. But salute to you if you were deployed and you saw and you were disillusioned and it opened your mind and you're able to use that experience. You're able to use that experience to educate people. ET1T0 says, I was deployed and I agree 100%. Salute to you. You just like another drama queen. Okay, whatever you say, pal. I'm in here talking about how they're going to infringe on your freedoms. And you're concerned. You're so concerned about me not deploying. Oh, poor baby. I didn't deploy. Oh. I don't care. No, I did not deploy. And? But those that did deploy, 9 times out of 10, yeah, they on some real shit. And they understand. See, I'm pretty sure those of you who are getting on me about not deploying, you never deployed either. You probably never even joined the military. It is what it is. I don't give a shit. Orange Lily for you says, salute to Black Spree Autumn in the building. Salute to you. Thank you for coming through. Orange Lily for you says, you're a man who officially thinks or critically thinks and you'll whip some ass. Yeah, I will. I will. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Leon McMahon says, I tried to serve my country but got rejected. Sometimes that happens. I almost got rejected because I have flat feet. But I was able to perform the physical with no problem. And I was able to do PT and no problem and all that. So the bottom line is this. Those individuals that deployed, they know what's up. They know the real reason they were over there. Someone says subhuman and low IQ. I don't know why y'all have to come in here and shit on yourselves like that. It's just really just sad. Well, let me tell you something, Ninja Atomic Slayer. Every administration is shitty, so you probably would never have joined the military if you had that mind state, which I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Every administration is shitty, and they will use you to wage war against other countries, not to help anybody, not to spread freedom and democracy. No, that's a lie. No, they'll do it for the bankers, right? Smedley Butler has a book called War is a Racket. And we all need to read that, right? General Smedley Butler. I think he wrote the book in 1937 or something like that. Simply breaks down how every war is a banker war. That's what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the bankers. You're fighting for the defense contractors. You're fighting for big oil. They all make a whole lot of money when we wage war overseas. It's a lot of money in it for them. Meanwhile, millions of people get killed for no fucking reason. Yo, this guy was never in flat feet. Okay, Monty Rattlesnake. I was never in, sure. The military supports Donald Trump. Where did you get that information? Did you do a survey? Did you perform a survey to find out if the majority of the military supports Trump? How do you get that information? Sammy High says, I support our military veterans. Salute to you. But you're right as well. That GI Bill is looking good. No, not Bones first. Not at all. Yeah, Trump has exactly. Trump has zero respect for veterans. He doesn't respect y'all. He doesn't respect us. Simple as that. Yes, double tap the screen. Even if you're mad because I didn't deploy. It's okay, Pumpkin. I can tell you that's not a fact. The military does not support Trump. That's why I said, where'd you get that information? Did you do a survey? Did you go, like, how do you know that? Katu Laughlin says, I'm a gamer, so talk to people all over the world every day. We all have the same problems with slight variations. How can we finally unite and push back before they try to getting us under global government? The key is, number one, the first thing we need to do is become self-sufficient, self-reliant, right? Self-dependent, right? We need to be able to, we should be able to decouple. We have to be able to provide for ourselves, right? Food, water, all the necessities. And it can be done. You just have to make certain moves and make certain changes, right? Homesteading, where you do regenerative farming and permaculture and whatnot. You get together with people and make sure that, there is a community cohesiveness. And you guys all work together to be self-sufficient, self-reliant. That's number one. You have to be able to, because once you start to rebel and rise up, they will strip certain things from you that they feel like they provide for you. Energy, the supply chain, all that shit. They tested it out during COVID-19 pandemic. So they'll start to remove those things from you. They'll start trying to cut you off. Well, when they do that, you need to be able to continue to operate. And then you go from there. You start to decouple. You start to remove yourself. You start to, en masse, right? It has to be a mass effort. It can be done. It just takes organization. It takes an understanding that, despite all the differences we have amongst the proletariat class, one thing we have in common is that the elite class, they're the true enemy. And once most people realize that, then we can move forward, right? We can start to make things happen. Salute to Hippie Gypsy. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for your first time. South Texas Rocker says the Air Force vet supports Trump. I also support your right to free speech, even if they are uninformed statements of blatant lies. What uninformed statement of blatant lies am I talking about? What am I talking about? Pam Bondi herself said that this is why we need to deploy National Guard in all these states. This is why we're doing this, right? To combat radical Islam. Where am I lying at? Donald Trump didn't initiate an executive order to deploy National Guard troops all over the country to combat and quell civil disturbance. That's not what he did. What am I lying about? ET110 says, or 1TO says, it sickens me as a veteran that Trump is in control of our military. Yeah, it's crazy. Like Carlin said, it's the big club and you ain't in it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Proletariat class. I am sure. I don't understand. You don't know what a proletariat? I'm confused. Not all over the country, certain states. And why those states? Well, it's 500 National Guards per state. That's just the broad general order. They might not deploy all of it at once. Opinions are like assholes. Absolutely. Yeah, they're like assholes. So I guess you think Kamala would be doing a better job. You clearly don't. You're not familiar with my channel. If you think that I think Kamala would do a better job, you clearly are new to my channel. Goodness gracious. Dude, you need to actually look at facts. Okay. Why is deploying National Guard such a problem? It's why they're deploying them. It's why they're deploying them. Why is militarizing, why is initiating soft martial law across the country, why is that a problem? I don't know. You try to figure it out. Last I checked, 500 versus thousands. I like those odds. People, open your eyes of us than them. Fear tactics. Okay. You agree they should be deployed. Of course you do. Hopefully you're not part of the majority, but we'll see. All right, salute to you, Ronnie Gibson, for your first time. I appreciate you. Yeah, y'all don't like to hear this, but I'm going to tell your asses anyway. Ninja Atomic Slayer says no, they should not be deployed. For what? To quell civil disturbance? I hope you guys understand. Most of you probably don't even know or remember the executive order Joe Biden initiated last year during his term. Set Trump up perfectly for this executive order. Now they're going to come together and you're going to see why it's a problem. See, Joe Biden initiated an executive order during his term that would allow the military to assist local law enforcement to quell civil disobedience. And if they had to, they could use lethal force against civilians. Yeah, that's what Joe Biden did during his term. He gave the military the authority to use lethal force against American people to assist the law enforcement with civil disturbance. Joe Biden did that last year, or last year or the year before. I think it was last year during his term. I actually talked about that in a Rucking Live. It was an yeah, he did. What are you talking about? Donna Willis. What are you talking about? I read the executive order on a live stream. He absolutely did do that. What are you talking about? Yeah, he did. Joe Biden did do that. Gave the U.S. military intelligence agencies and whatnot the authority to assist local law enforcement to quell civil disobedience, and if so, if they needed to, use lethal force. Max Mucho says he didn't know that. Most people don't know that. But this is why I talk about these things on my channel. Yeah, he did that. I will go back to that live stream because I don't remember exactly what the executive order number was, but I talked about it in that live stream. I'll go back to it and I'll touch on it again. Yes. Joe Biden gave the authority to the U.S. military to assist law enforcement in civil disobedience. And if they needed to, they could use lethal force. And now Donald Trump is going to be deploying National Guards people across the country. Dude, salute to you being able to debate with these brick walls. It's not really a debate, but I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Brother man, I'm grateful you being honest, but at least you know he did that, so what comes? That's what comes. Okay. Orange Lily for you says, my friend has 2 daughters in the Air Force. They're getting out and going to school. They aren't fighting Trump's BS. Good for them. Salute to Max Mucho for subscribing. I appreciate you. This is what, Joe Biden did that. So I will probably, if I have time later on, I got so many meetings. I got multiple meetings today, but if I can, then maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go back to that live stream because I need to find the executive order number. It's the same. It's basically the same thing that Trump is under the same system that Trump. So I'll find it and I'll touch on that again. There's no such thing as a moderate Islam or radical Islam. Islam is just Islam. Exactly. There are radical people, right? There are radical individuals. They'll use any justification for their radicalism. Islam, Christianity, it doesn't matter. Government. What about government radicals? Radical government. That's what we have. America should fully focus on itself right now. America first. I agree, but they're not going to. Anyway, y'all got to go. Much love to y'all. Like, share, subscribe. But look, man. One thing leads to another. They set this shit up years in advance. They see far down the road. Like I said, I will be talking about that executive order Joe Biden did and how it lines up perfectly and sets Trump perfectly up for this executive order that he just did. Sure, I'm foolish. Why not? Someone says just stop. Okay. Stop what? You want me to stop? That means that you want me to stop talking? Why are you here listening? Why are you writing in my comment section? Let me help you out. If you want me to stop, you just stop listening. I'm going to give you some incentive and encouragement not to listen by not allowing you to ever come back to my channel under that account. Anyway, much love. Like, share, subscribe. And yes, all parties are the same. They just present differently. They present differently to give you the impression that you have one of two choices. Salute to Realize in the building. Salute to you. Salute to Realize, Realize, Realize. Thank you, Queen, for coming through. Much love. Like, share, subscribe. And we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom and truth, whether you like it or not. Peace.